Hi everybody! In this video I want to discuss the idea of codependency and the form of a healthy love relationship. Codependency is a form of relationship where you feel a type of dependency. It can even be an addiction. It's a dependency on another person to make you feel whole or complete in some way that you feel you're not able to give to yourself. Most of the time people are unaware when they're in these types of relationships. A lot of the ideas that we learn about love and relationships from the media and through music encourage codependent behaviors that we're not really aware of. A lot of songs talk about not being able to live without someone and feeling incomplete and dying without somebody. And this validates the idea that we are in some way incomplete unless we're in a relationship or we have a partner. The truth is nobody can make you feel that sense of completeness other than yourself. If you're in a relationship, you should already be completely fulfilled in and of yourself, because if you're not, you're going to be depending on your partner or seeking for ways that your partner makes you feel complete. And we're all humans, so in one way or another, that person you're with is bound to fall short of your expectations. This is why a lot of people begin and end relationships disappointed. Many people now avoid relationships altogether because of thinking that they just bring heartache or they're not worth it. But it's more because a person has the wrong idea of what a relationship really is. Relationships can actually help you to learn a lot of spiritual lessons about yourself. They can be very healing. Essentially, they're very big mirrors. When you're in a relationship, you're going to be faced with a lot of issues that person brings out in you that you weren't aware of before, because you're in this deep, intimate bond. You're letting someone see your deepest vulnerabilities and things that most people don't get access to or don't get to see. A codependency is very much a type of addiction. It's just the addiction to love, to a certain person, and instead of trying to heal the part inside of you that feels incomplete or not well, you try and heal or fix that in the person you're with, because you think by doing that it will give you a sense of completion and healing. One example of this can be being in a relationship with somebody who is addicted to drugs, or being in a relationship with somebody who isn't doing well financially, and you do everything in your power to try and fix them, to try and make them healed and whole, because you think that's going to give you a sense of feeling healed and whole. But it's an illusion, because you cannot fix yourself by fixing someone else. In a healthy relationship, both people are not perfect, but they respect each other's journeys and they support each other without feeling the need to intervene or run that person's life for them. If you're in a codependent relationship and you feel like you're unable to leave, one thing you can do is meditate and look inside yourself to see what is it within you that you're seeking to correct by fixing the other person. A lot of times we try and fix ourselves internally by fixing the outer projection, but the only way we can shift our reality is by shifting the projector itself, which is us. Part of the reason so many people enter into codependent relationships is because of a feeling of loneliness and incompleteness. And a lot of this is because our modern society is not very communal and not very connected. So we think that we need another person to feel that connectedness and intimacy. When I first started dating and getting into relationships, it seemed that I was often attracting people who were troubled and that I wanted to fix. And I thought by doing that, I would finally be with that perfect person who would make me feel happy and complete. But no matter how hard I tried, I could never change them, because in a way they didn't want to change, or they were looking to me to help them change and fix their issues. but it's not possible because it's always an inside job. A healthy relationship looks completely different from a codependent relationship. In a healthy relationship, you still have issues and problems, but they're dealt with in a different way, and there's complete respect for the autonomy of the other person. Codependent habits are taught by our upbringing. You'll find that many codependent people have grown up in households where they were often the helper or the person who had to save everyone or save their parents. This creates an incomplete sense of self where you think that you don't really exist, or you exist in relation to another person because you haven't validated the self. You haven't discovered the self and integrated the whole and complete self. Once you get past the illusion that you need somebody to help you feel that completeness, that you need to fix somebody or someone else needs to fix you, it is possible to have that full, complete, blissful feeling by yourself. This is not to say that we don't need love and relationships and intimacy, because we do, but they tend to happen when, as everyone says, you're not looking or you're not searching and seeking. Because when you attract someone from a place of abundance rather than lack, you attract like to like, and you will attract someone who's also abundant and full. And then it becomes a fun experience rather than an experience of heartache and really intense wounding coming to the surface. Codependent relationships do have their purpose as well spiritually, because a lot of the time the wounding that is brought to the surface are things that you might not have been aware of on your own. But it's possible to heal these things in a much more gentle and safe way when you do your own inner work, as opposed to having the intense, very painful types of experiences that happen in a codependent relationship. Some ways you can tell whether you're in a codependent relationship or not are if you feel that you constantly need to be with your partner, you're constantly feeling unsafe without them, you need to always be calling and texting them, and when you're not around them you feel a sense of anxiety. It's very much similar to the symptoms of any other chemical dependency or addiction, because the common denominator is you don't feel like you will survive without this person. You've externalized your power into thinking that this one person will make you feel healed and whole. I would say that a majority of relationships we see today are probably in some way or form codependent. The reality is, for a true divine relationship, it takes two people who have really done the internal work and who know how to be fully complete and present with themselves rather than seeking outward distraction. It's a really great feeling when you can be in a relationship and you know that you have yourself to fall back on. That way you don't have the same types of relationships where there are these two extremely insecure people or jealous people that feel that they're gonna die if their partner cheats on them or leaves them. You have a much more harmonious and happy relationship because each person knows that no matter what happens with the other person, they're not putting all their eggs in that basket. They still have themselves to fall upon, and they know that no matter what, they'll be okay. A lot of times in life, it's the case where when you don't really need something, you actually have it. So it gets to be where you don't actually need that romantic love to survive, so you're able to attract it because you already are it, so it exists in your reality. If you're in a codependent relationship right now, it's okay, you don't have to beat yourself up. Know that there is support and there are ways of healing, and regardless of whether you feel you might have been wasting your time or you feel a lot of pain, you're still learning very valuable lessons for your personal evolution. And there are a lot of resources that exist out there for codependent people. There are codependent support groups like Codependent Anonymous and different books that have been written that are very helpful to break out of the pattern. Codependency is just another form of addiction, and addiction is a form of distraction. When you're able to sit with yourself in full awareness and face yourself fully, you no longer have the weakness for the addiction. As I'll always say, some of the best ways to face yourself are going to be through meditation, through yoga, through finding ways to eliminate all the distractions and face your inner self. Allow these old wounds to come up and see them so that they no longer haunt you from the dark recesses of your mind. There simply is no other way, and you can fool yourself into thinking that you can hop from person to person or relationship to relationship until you find that one perfect one, but that's not the way it works. We attract what we are because we attract what our inner beliefs are, and if we're attracting somebody from an inner belief of unworthiness or an inner belief of needing someone to save us, and you're attracting from a place of the belief that you are incomplete and you're not enough, you'll attract someone who mirrors that inner belief that you are incomplete and not enough, and you'll tend to blame that other person. Anytime that you feel sad or you feel like you're not getting enough attention or enough validation, you'll blame it on the other person. It's simply a lose-lose situation for both people. Sometimes it is possible to turn a codependent relationship into a full love relationship, but it would take two people who are truly dedicated to healing themselves in wholeness and the maturity to step back and not blame the other person for their lack. Many times it can be hard for someone to even conceptualize what a healthy relationship looks like because of incorrect parenting or witnessing an unloving relationship from growing up with your parents. It could be a good idea to seek out a healthy relationship, to learn from both people what makes their relationship healthy and understand the patterns of behavior that make the relationship successful. A lot of the times you'll see these relationships involve this sense of autonomy and respect for the other person. You'll notice that these relationships involve a very laissez-faire attitude where neither partner is trying to fix or save the other person. Many times it's a very deep internal wounding that brings people into codependent relationships, and it could be related to a parent figure that you subconsciously are seeking to save through your partner. Let's say you grew up with an alcoholic mother. You might end up attracting women with alcoholism or other issues that you subconsciously wish as a child you could change about your mother. Learning to embrace acceptance for the past and awareness of our deep subconscious behaviors helps free us from these addictive patterns and seeking the wrong partners. Just because you might have grown up seeing dysfunctional relationships or only attracting dysfunctional relationships doesn't mean that it's a pattern that has to continue. You can change anything with enough awareness and healing of the wounding that drives the behavior. I wish you all the deepest self-love, inner integration, awareness, and acceptance to heal any unhealthy relationship patterns and to attract the most beautiful love within and without. Remember to have the patience and self-compassion to forgive others and forgive yourself for any unhealthy patterns you've had in the past.